Oh, well, I get it. It's like, it's a Christopher Guest movie. It's a satire. I could do that.
Boom.
That's why I said yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I totally get it now. Hey, everybody. Happy second week of June. How's your June going? How's your summer going? Well, I know it's technically not summer yet, but it feels like summer to me, especially down here in Miami, where I am. It's a hot and muggy Miami day today. For those of you who follow me on social media, some of you might have noticed that there's another woman in my life, a new woman in my life, and I want to set the record straight on that. Her name is Gina, and Gina is the first feline I've ever made a connection with. So Daisy's sister, Rosanna, and her husband, Bernie, are staying with us for a little while. And Rosanna has 5 animals, 2 dogs and 3 cats. I am historically a dog guy. I've just never connected with cats. Don't stop with the hate. Some people are dog people, some people are cat people, some people are both. I have never been a cat person. Dogs just know when they see me. If I hear this one more time, it's unbelievable in my life. A dog will come over to me and be all lovey and affectionate, and the owner will go, he doesn't do that with anybody. Dogs just know that I love them. Cats, I've just always considered them arrogant assholes. I've just never vibed with a cat. But now there are 3 in our house here in Florida. And it was a slow burn. It was a slow burn. It started with Gina sort of making her presence known where I was. So if I was in the kitchen making coffee, she would just be in there, kind of like being around me, kind of looking at me. And I would talk to her, and she would just give me that cat look, like 0 fucks. But then she started coming around me more and more. Then she let me pet her, which was really nice. And then she started hugging me, that thing where she would just rub up against my ankle. Well, cut to now, every morning when I go downstairs to make coffee, Gina is waiting for me on the kitchen counter to give me a kiss. So now I've fallen in love with a cat. I don't know how long this relationship's going to last. Daisy's totally okay with it. So that's what's new in my life. What is also new in your life is this week's episode of Stories to Tell. And our guest on this episode is a really, really great pal of ours named Heather Dubrow. You've already hopefully seen the episode I did with her husband, Terry Dubrow. Heather has been in the cast of Real Housewives of Orange County for years. She's the only person I know in that world, other than her husband, Terry, in the reality show world. And Heather and I became friendly about, 10 or 11 years ago when we guested on each other's podcast. And the minute we sat down to talk the first time, we hit it off. And then midway through that first conversation, she said, okay, you and my husband, Terry, are going to be pals. So it's just been a beautiful friendship. The 4 of us spent a lot of time together. In fact, as you are listening to this and or watching this episode, Heather and Terry will be with us in Croatia on vacation. So they are really dear friends. I had a really fun chat with Heather, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And until next week, oh, by the way, I always remind you, if you haven't yet, subscribe to Stories to Tell. Tell your friends about it. We want to keep this thing going. We want to keep this thing growing. And thanks for all the love over the last several episodes. And right now, I hope you enjoy this week's episode of Stories to Tell with my dear friend, Heather Dubrow. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
That's for you.
Thank you.
Look, I made us martinis because it's one of our favorite things.
Okay, cheers.
Mwah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Have a
Is
seat.
it bad luck when you cheers? Are you supposed to immediately drink? Is that a thing?
Yeah, but we don't get hung up on that stuff.
You know what I also heard the other day?
That's not going to beat us.
No. I also heard the other day that if you have water in your glass, you have to click twice.
Click twice?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Did we
Wives'
click?
tale.
Thank God we didn't. You know, I was going to make us espresso martinis because I know you love those. And I do too, but you've taught me how to step up my espresso martini game.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? I don't drink coffee.
Really?
No. I drink a little Diet
You never
Coke.
have?
No. I went through a coffee phase because I do actually like the taste, but it makes me jittery and gives me heart palpitations. And I'm really just naturally effervescent. And so I really don't need the coffee.
Right.
And so I just stopped drinking it.
But it doesn't mess with you. Like when we've been out to dinner, you'll have 2 espresso martinis. Or 3. And are you up till 3 o'clock in the morning?
It depends on the restaurant, to be perfectly frank. There are some restaurants that their espresso is so strong that I'll be up at 3 o'clock in the morning and be like, Terry, are you awake?
Yeah.
Hello.
And he's got to operate in 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes I'll order decaf.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah, I do like them though.
Yeah, when I had the idea for this, I wanted to do it. We ended up here. I did a few episodes on location.
Okay.
Because at first I thought it might be cool to go to different people's houses or show up at, you know who Matt Friend is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We did an episode with him at a place called The Friend Bar in Silver Lake.
Yeah.
And then we did an episode here, and I can't remember who it was, but it was oh yeah, this replicates my life better.
Yeah.
Because this is where Daisy and I sit, and we've sat with you in here, and it's comfortable. So.
Well, that's the ultimate spot to do a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I first started podcasting, it was over 10 years ago. And, I come from TV, so I'm used to segments and, this and that. And I remember talking to a friend and saying, this is how I'm going to do my podcast. And he was like, no, you don't get it. That's not what a podcast is. A podcast is, people just want to hang out with you.
Right.
For an hour or so. And I'm like, are you sure? Do they? And he was like, yeah, no, they really do. And so being in a space that feels like you is the best thing ever.
Yeah. And you just reminded me, I love that you being a guest here today is a mirror of how we met. Mm-hmm. Because I had a podcast, just strictly no video, but just an audio podcast called Song Talks.
Yeah.
And you had your podcast, and I think we were on the same podcast network at the time, and somebody suggested that we, do each other's shows. And I don't know that that's ever happened to me in a kind of interview or professional situation where you sit down with somebody for an hour, and then you're like, okay, so where are we having dinner? You know what I mean? And not just you and me, but our spouses, where you said, okay, you and my husband are going to be pals.
Totally.
And I said, you and Daisy, my wife, are going to be pals. And
here we are. That's so funny because, when I first started my podcast, it was really just a way to have, an unedited, rawer version of me off of Housewives.
Right.
That's really why I started the show. And, back in those days, I used to
show a different side than was edited to show you kind of thing?
I mean, I'm not crying poor editing or anything like that, but our algorithm is for every 30 hours we film, 20 minutes makes it to the air. So you can imagine there's a lot that doesn't get shown, and what might be important to me isn't important to the story that's being told. So I really wanted to connect with the viewers in a different way.
Right.
So back in the day, I would interview all kinds of people. Actors promoting a movie or people with a book and whatnot. And then I got a little sort of over it after 6-7 years. And I was getting a little.
How often were you doing it?
First once a week, then twice a week. And I was about to bump it up to 3 times a week. And all of a sudden I was like, do I like doing this? Is this fun anymore? And I thought, well, why is it not fun? And I really had to sit down and figure that out. And what I realized is if I'm not getting at least one pearl out of this, if I don't want to be friends with you,
Right.
then my audience isn't getting anything out of this. And what is the point?
Yeah.
If I'm not learning, they're not learning, we're not going in the right direction here.
Yeah.
And so it's funny, interviewing you and doing that exchange was kind of one of those pivotal moments where, we all became friends. And interestingly, since then, not every guest, but I have a really beautiful handful of female friends that have come from guests
Really?
on my show. Yeah.
Can we back up for a second to something you said? So when I met you, I'm going to guess that was 2016?
Maybe. Yeah.
2016 or 2017?
Yeah.
How long had you been doing your podcast at that point? Do you know?
when did I join Housewives? When Ace was 9 months old. He's 14. So 2012?
Okay, so you'd been doing it a couple of years.
Yeah.
But my recollection is that you were commuting, so you would be in LA for like a day or two
Yep.
from Orange County.
Yep.
Wouldn't that be also a factor why you started to burn out on it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, when Terry and I first were together and engaged and married and all those things, we were going back and forth between LA and Orange County.
Yeah.
Because his practice was in Orange County and I was an actress and working in LA. So I'd get a show picked up, we'd move back to LA. It got canceled, we'd move to Orange County. We kept going back and forth until our kids were a certain age that we needed to,
Yeah.
put down some roots and put them in school and all of that. But yeah, so I was driving up to LA once or twice a week to do the podcast, to go take meetings. Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah. So take me from, because what I know about your background and your acting career, singing, you like cabaret, right? You did a fair
cabaret,
amount of theater and cabaret.
Yep.
When I was thinking about you coming over today, I thought, have I ever really heard this story or asked her? Take me through show me the breadcrumbs that got you to say, I'm going to be on Real Housewives of Orange County. Because it's such had you done reality before, any reality TV before?
God, no.
So I need to hear this story.
Okay, well, I'm going to take you back a little farther because you need to know who I was to understand how that happened and why it was very difficult.
Okay.
So, I grew up in New York.
Yeah.
I went to Syracuse. I was a musical theater major, thought I was going to go to Broadway,
Right.
and ended up getting cast on this show. They flew me out to LA, didn't go, but I decided to stay. And instead of waiting tables, I got a job singing at Disneyland.
Right.
The Golden Horseshoe Jamboree. And from that, I met this guy. We put together this 14-piece big band, and that was my waitress job. And, toured for 4 years, did that, and got better acting gigs and all that, and then ended up in a really great slew of series regular jobs. So I was a series regular on a handful of TV shows, and the last show was called That's Life, which was on CBS, where I played Lydia DeLuca.
Were you still Heather Page Kent then?
Yes.
Yeah.
It took me, I think, 14 years of being with Terry to change my name to JoJo. And I still threaten him, like I could go back.
It's like Daisy hasn't legally changed her name, but she changed it on social media, on Instagram. So that's really,
something.
That's just as important.
It's something. I used to use it socially, but I wouldn't change it. I did say to him early on, I'm like, if you change the spelling to Dubreaux, like Dubrow, I thought that would be cool.
That is so you.
I know. And I was like, that's so French. And I love that. And that would, because you know what? People.
But you could be Deux.
I could.
And he could stay OW.
Listen.
And then people would be like, wait, what's the deal? And you could be like, it's just this weird coincidence that.
Well, you know Terry's brother,
yes,
who was the lead singer of Quiet Riot.
Yes.
He spelled the last name D with a small U and a capital B, like Dubrow.
Right.
Now, the problem I had with the name and the spelling is people say Dubrow.
Dubrow.
Like eyebrow. And I think that's unattractive.
I agree.
I really don't like that. Anywho.
Dubrow. It's nasally.
It's not attractive. Dubrow is like hot. I also asked him if he could acquire an accent. That didn't go over well either. But I digress.
But you digress.
So anyway, so I was on this show, That's Life.
Right.
And Terry and I were already married at this point. And like I said, it got canceled. I got pregnant. We were going back and forth for the next few years. Our oldest two, who are twins, turned 2-ish. And it was like, they need to go to preschool. And as you know, having kids, preschool leads to college very quickly. Yeah. They have to be in the right preschool.
Right.
So we decided that at that time that we were going to settle in Newport Beach for a period of time.
Really driven by your kids?
Driven by the kids. Okay. And there was like this bullshit of, you could still audition and, drive up. Let me put it this way. Voiceover auditions, which are 30 seconds long, to be in the car for 4 hours. And this is before, not to age myself, this is before, streaming or social media or making your own content. Those things just didn't exist. These are the days where you sat home and you waited for your agent to call and tell you that you didn't even putting yourself on tape would have, in those days was literally you had to find someone with a camera
and probably had to messenger the whole tape and everything. Yeah.
All of it. So it was very difficult. Being a stay-at-home mom for me was very isolating. I was used to being on a set for 16 hours a day. And I found that period of time strangely, incredibly, overwhelmingly fulfilling and very lonely and sad, which I know a lot of young moms go through all of that. I think for me, like fish gotta swim, and I wasn't able to swim at all. So I threw myself into the kids. I had 4 kids in 7 years. And during that period of time, I would do little things. I would do a pilot, didn't get picked up. So I didn't feel guilty because I felt great that I was acting again and then I could go home to my family. Yeah. So it was like a little crazy for a while. Yeah. Anyway, this is how the reality stuff happened. I had this group of girlfriends, all really pretty, really cool girls, and each of their husbands was something in the head of their industry. One was a neurosurgeon, one was the head of, Smith & Wesson, one was the head of this, that. And we kept saying we were going to open a restaurant, and we thought this was so funny.
In Orange County?
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were going to open a restaurant. And we just like talking about it. So we'd go out to dinner. We have, martinis and champagne. And we'd be like, we're going to open a restaurant. Right. And Terry thought this was such a great idea that it should be a TV show. So one night he got on his computer and sent out this treatment to all these different production companies. And we met with everyone. And we'd come up to LA and we...
Terry?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude, I didn't know this.
We would come up to LA and we'd take all these meetings and everyone wanted to do the show. The problem was they all wanted the restaurant to be functioning, like fully operational before we shot it. They didn't want a bunch of girls that had like a glimmer in their eye to open a restaurant and not have anything real. Right. So we actually had to do the restaurant and we were taking steps to do that and whatever.
That's a risky proposition.
Very risky.
Everybody says don't do that.
Right. And the truth is, none of these girls wanted to do a TV show. They wanted to go to LA and take a meeting and get dressed up and have lunch. And we had the best time. Truly. Right. One of my girlfriends had a helicopter back when we used to take helicopters, and we would chop her up to LA. We'd do the meetings, have lunch. It was really fun and just a fun period of our lives. And I had just had my 4th child. So it's like I had this baby and it was fun. It made me feel alive again. One of the places we met with was Evolution, who produced Real Housewives of Orange County. And to make a long story short, we met with them and they said, well, we're kind of lukewarm on that show, but would Heather consider doing Real Housewives of Orange County? Now, I had never seen the show, but I had seen Beverly Hills because Terry and I were friends with Paul Nassif and his ex-wife, Adrian. Right. We had known them before they got married, whatever. So we had seen some episodes of the show. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm an actress. I can't be on reality television. That's insane. So we talked about it. I told all my girlfriends, I'm like, hey, listen, Terry wants me to do this thing.
He wanted you to do it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, desperately. You know how great this was for a plastic surgeon to be
Yeah.
on TV like that?
Yeah.
Huge career bump. So I said, you guys, are you all cool with this? And they're like, yeah, we were never doing a restaurant show anyway, you know?
But wait, I'm going to back you up.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause you for a second because I'm curious. I'm interested in the moment when you are like, there's no way I'm doing this. I'm an actress and I want to keep pursuing that, and that might taint what I'm doing. And Terry's like, no, we have to do.
Yeah.
I want to, like, how prolonged were those conversations? Are we talking about over a period of days or weeks where he's like, Heather, here's why you need to do this, and he had to plead his case and you probably were pushing back? How long did it take for you to come around to it?
I'm going to say I didn't.
Oh.
I didn't come around. It was about 3 weeks.
Well,
At first, I tried to get out of it by talking to my friends, hoping that
they would say, don't do it.
Don't do it, and you're with us on this
And those
restaurant
all
thing.
said, oh, you have to do this.
You have to do this. The great idea. You must do this. And they also offered to incubate our restaurant show on Housewives, which they did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all my girlfriends came on. We went and looked at restaurants. And then they all went, yeah, we're good. That was fun. We don't want to film anymore.
Right.
So I said no, I did not want to do this. And Terry signed the contract for me.
Wow.
Literally.
How did that conversation go?
Not well. So he signed the contract, and I was so angry. We did not speak for 2 weeks. And finally I said, okay, look, I can't argue with you about this anymore. You need me to do this so badly. Fine, I'll do it. Fine, I'll do it. And then he got nervous. So he showed me a scene from the show. So he shows me the scene. I remember exactly where I was sitting in our kitchen in Pelican Crest. I'm sitting in the kitchen. He puts the thing on and he goes to the other room. And I'm watching it. And it's this scene where Tamara Judge now, throws a glass of wine on this other girl. And this other girl saying, oh, I thought this was a classy part. I'm watching this whole thing. And I start laughing. And Terry comes back in. He's like, why are you laughing? I thought you were going to run screaming from the room. And I go,
what have you done to me?
Yeah, I go, oh, well, I get it. It's like, it's a Christopher Guest movie. It's a satire. I could do that.
Boom.
That's why I said yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I totally get it now.
Yeah. But honestly, when we started, I was you know me well.
Yeah.
But when I first started the show, to me, it's like I was meeting all these people for the first time. I think I was the first person on the show they literally plucked from, no connectivity to anywhere.
Relative obscurity that way.
Yeah, in that respect. Because usually, on these shows, they like connectivity, someone's friend, someone's cousin, someone's daughter, whatever.
Right.
So
I was just a new person.
I didn't know anyone. And so I came on and it was like, in a sitcom, they're like, what's the worst thing that could walk through the door? Knock, knock, knock. Here's the worst thing. It was like that. I joined the show and they made fun of my acting career. They thought I was stuck up.
Did you know all this was going to be part of the...
No.
So how, when you say, oh, this is like a Christopher Guest movie, I can do that. Like you perceived it that way. You saw a path for yourself.
Right.
And then how, between that moment of you going, oh, I get it now, I can do this, to you walking in the door to do the first show, what period of time is that? Weeks. So then take me a few weeks into it. Is there a moment where you go, yeah, this is what I thought it was, or like, holy shit, this is not what I thought it was?
Oh, yeah, this was not what I thought it was. And and I have to say, Terry and I have been together almost 30 years, right? 28 years we've been together. And the only time we really don't fight, bicker, normal stuff, whatever, but we really don't fight about substantial things. Right. But I think it was the first or second season that we were on the show, to him, it was a lark. He's a doctor.
Right.
It's TV. It means nothing to me. This is I have this acting career that's so important to me that I would like to reemerge into someday, I'm thinking at this time. And what is this going to do to me, to my family? Was this a huge mistake? And he's making jokes and at my expense. It was really tough. We had a tough time for a while.
Did you ever think, F this, I'm out?
Oh yeah, many times.
Of the marriage or the show or both?
The show. But we had a real come to Jesus moment where we were in the car and I remember saying to him, this show is not worth our marriage. So here's the thing. We have to figure out how to not fight and do whatever's going on here isn't working. So we got to figure this out or I'm leaving the show. One of those two things is going to happen.
So, okay. As a real, this is a real uneducated, ignorant perspective I have, right? The only involvement I've ever had is when Daisy and I have guested on your show once or twice.
Yeah.
You're also, I think, the only people I know who are in reality TV. I mean, in terms of being performers and being, on camera. And I have a sense of a level of toxicity about it.
Yeah.
That I guess comes from the media. I guess it's sort of like a narrative that you know, and I don't like so many other things. I'm aware that I don't really know, but my perception is that is a toxic waste dump of like
But
stuff.
it shouldn't be.
But my question is, how true is that?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting for me is
Because
that,
by the way, and I'm sorry, I'll let you answer, but I feel like I want to qualify my question. I am also aware that there are people who can navigate those waters really well. Obviously you have, but I don't think I've ever asked you in our friendship, like, how bad is it when it's bad? When there is legitimate gross going on behind the scenes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, when I first started the show, this was like 14 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know. So I started the show when Ace was 9 months old. He's 14.
Right.
So when I first started the show, it was different. And I will tell you, I left for a number of seasons.
Right, I remember.
And then they asked me to come back. And I've discussed this with you, but one of the reasons I really wanted to go back was to show our normal family, because we've got 4 kids, they're different genders, different sexualities, and I wanted to start conversations in other people's families. I've been able to do that. I'm really, really proud of that.
Yeah.
So we'll put that positive over here for a second.
Sure, but you created that positive.
Yeah, I did, but they allowed me to.
That's true.
And I will say that I've always found production, and I'm not just being a company man, which I am, but they've always been very supportive of me and my family, and I really appreciate that. What I'll tell you is coming back to the show was very different. And it's not just because it's Housewives, it's any reality show, because times are different. I don't think anyone on The Bachelor is actually looking for love.
I think you're probably right.
I think they're looking for TikTok followers.
Yeah.
It is very difficult, in my opinion, to cast any of these shows with people that really want to be there for the right reasons. And the right reason can still be to use the platform, because the platform's amazing.
Yeah.
So whether you're using it for social issues or you want to make money, you want to, boost
Leverage
your
it.
career.
Yeah.
I'm all for all of that. And maybe you're just like bored and you want to be famous. I'm okay with that too. But you have to be there for a reason that makes sense. What I don't like on any of these shows is when people just try to create drama for drama. We have had people on the show that are inauthentic and that come in. I've had people tell lies about me. Some are dumb, some are not dumb, and they're really hurtful. And that is very difficult to deal with. We've had some crazy stuff on the show. We had Vicky's boyfriend, Brooks, who was faking cancer. And we faked cancer, Richard. And we spent the first half of the season looking at each other like, that can't be a thing. And no one said it out loud, because how could you ever accuse someone of doing something? But we all knew. And then it bubbled to the point where it was actually true. That was one of the most insane, because
that's super gross.
Truth is so much stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
But I think where these shows live well is when they're just allowed to land and grow. I think that when you get a bunch of women or just people together, it is interesting. It's I call it Mrs. Kravitz, peeking behind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an old reference, but peeking behind the curtains of someone else's house. It's fascinating to see what people eat, what's in their refrigerator.
100%.
What kind of trips do they take?
Any kind of people.
Anyone at any level.
Yeah.
It is fascinating. So when that's allowed to happen in an organic way.
Which, not to interrupt, but that has been exploited, not in a negative way, but that has been shown in reality TV as well.
Yeah.
Like, well, we've seen, people who are of little means or like have really particular circumstances. And those shows have blown up too because everybody seems to be interested in the lives of everyone but themselves.
Others. How are they? And I do believe like half the people want to see the show to see our clothes and the trips and our homes.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other half are like, thank God I don't do that or I don't live like that.
Right.
And so, so all of that is interesting to me. But so it's changed a bit. My hope is that, and what I feel like with my show in particular is that we had a good season last season and the show came back from, it was waffling.
Waffling in what way?
It was. I think I was not on the show at the time. I would like to equate that to me being gone. But
no wonder they were fucking waffling.
Right. But there are these, what the years they consider the glory days, which are seasons I was on.
Are you talking about in terms of ratings? Or
Rating, story, heat, all of it.
Yeah.
And then it was waffling. And I think it was, the casting was strange. The group didn't mesh. People were coming on and trying to create story. And that just doesn't work.
Right.
Authenticity is what sells.
Right.
And without authenticity, you got nothing.
Right.
And now, for the last couple seasons, we're on this really great trend. And from what I see is that we're all friends and really care about each other. And that's the best jumping off place.
That's very well explained.
Is he snoring?
Did he fall asleep?
Really?
He's tired.
Oh my God.
He's tired.
Welcome to my world.
I got to cut him some slack. It's Friday. It's also Friday. We're filming on Friday. Well, speaking of him, speaking of our snoring friend there, you guys have, I don't think it's that common to have the two-career couple.
In the entertainment industry or just in general?
In general, well, no, in general it's probably more common. And even though Terry is a renowned and wonderful doctor, let's not forget that, and surgeon, his foray into following you into the foray of reality TV and becoming a celebrity himself and loving it, by the way.
Loves it.
Nobody loves celebrity and being recognized.
More than Terry.
When we go to dinner, we got to go someplace where at least somebody's going to come over and go, "Aren't you Terry Dubrow?" Or else he's f***ing pissed. I love that about him. I love that about you. But when it comes to this business, has it been a pretty easy go of it, juggling the two careers and being, because my perception of you guys, and look, we've spent a lot of time together socially and we love you. You're one of we talk about this all the time. It's hard to find where you like both the husband and the wife.
Yeah.
We're
so good. And you guys, we love each other. Yeah, they love each other.
When you and Daisy are like he and I, it's not like we're sitting there going, so how about, did you see the game? No, we're deep in conversation. Yeah. So knowing you as we do, our perception is that, like me and Daisy, that you guys are a team. You really are partners. But I also know that, especially in the business, the specific business of reality television, and having two different careers in that way, has it been pretty smooth, or has it been waters to navigate in that way?
I mean, pretty smooth. What's interesting about us is that our careers have blended in so many different ways. We've written 3 books together. Right. And we did a podcast together.
And you have a brand, line.
We have a whole line of skincare and supplements and all of that.
Which, when you guys go to promote that, you do it as a team.
We used to. I'm actually not doing it anymore because in the pandemic, it just became easier because now it's remote. Gotcha. And it's harder to do it with 2 people. Right. So anyway, but we've been doing that for a million years. And then we've pitched shows together. We've done pilots together. We, with one of our weight loss books, we took a couple through our whole program and did segments on E! News as Dr. and Mrs. Guinea Pig, which is one of our books. We've done so much together that because we just like being together.
Yeah, that's
and for
obvious.
us, a hobby, like I do my workout, he does his workout. We don't really work out together.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we'll go for a hike or something like that. But in general, our hobby together is work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like we'll just talk about random things. He just got board certified by the Obesity Medicine Board. And I'm like, let's open up weight loss centers. I mean, there's just always, so I don't know, something that we like.
That so reminds me of Daisy. If I do something or if I have an idea, even if I just throw something out, she's never going to just go, yeah, good idea. She's going to go, great idea. And here's what we're going to do.
Yeah, here's how we do it.
Yeah.
Because you have to be partners. And, I will say, I felt like we were always partners. But there was one thing, and we've talked about this publicly, but I don't know if we've talked about this, that we had $2 million stolen from us.
I do know this.
Years ago.
Yeah.
And Terry made this bad investment. It was just bad. And everyone said to me, aren't you mad at him? And I was like, absolutely not. I'm like, I screwed up too. Our system of checks and balances.
Yeah, and also if the intent was bad, then you can be pissed off. But
well, yeah, I mean, I didn't
can...
think some of the moves he did. I mean, we could argue that, but having said that, it doesn't matter because I didn't do my part in our checks and balances. But what that did, and this was at a time where this was, and I'm not saying it's not a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but at that time it was a lot of money, and so it allowed us to sit down and have a conversation because, I was brought up by very 1950s parents.
Yeah.
And my mom was a typical sort of housewife who didn't know what the finances were and all of that. And I thought we were so not that. And I thought I was so in tune with what was going on. And I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I really was just leaving everything to him. I was creating the same pattern that my parents had. And so
you were being a bit of June Cleaver, as they said.
100%.
Yeah.
And my dad left my mom with a shit show. And I was like, what are we doing? And so we sat down after that, had a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
And we redid everything. And this may surprise you, but I'm in charge of all of our money.
I'm not surprised.
Terry is brilliant at investing. Like brilliant. He's such a smart man. He's so good at it. And I trust him implicitly. We still discuss everything.
Yeah.
But he handles that and I handle the day-to-day and the money.
Gotcha.
And it works out really well for us.
Yeah.
But that's why I get irritated when he makes wife jokes. Like,
Because he's minimizing.
Right. Because I'm like, all right, haha. But
Yeah, but he's just kidding. He has to.
I know, but when you're on a reality show and everyone already assumes that you're like this spendthrift, housewifey, oh, he makes the money and I spend it.
Right.
It's like, I should laugh at it, but sometimes it irritates me.
Yes, of course. And, and you're going to have a different reaction to Terry than the rest of us because you're with him 24/7.
Yes.
He's your husband. But one of the things I love about Terry is, first of all, his laugh.
Yeah.
And when he says something, even when it's borderline, oh my God, he just said that, he's laughing so hard that you can't not laugh with him.
I know. No one finds Terry funnier than Terry.
True, but
By the way, he's loving that we're talking about
Yeah,
it
of course,
right
of course. He's going to
is
be
like his
he's going to be
best
sending
dad.
this clip to everybody.
Oh, I know. Including you.
Including me. Remember when you said this about me? But one of the things I love about him is the balance between, I feel this about you too. There's a balance between sarcasm and praise. So he can be such a smart ass.
Yeah.
And then the next sentence, he'll say something so genuinely like he's such a fan of, or I love this about, it's a beautiful thing. I'm a fan I'm really a fan of both of you. And it's really, Daisy and I talk about it all the time. To really love both people equally is very rare.
It is.
I want to talk to you about this. I don't think I've had this conversation maybe with anybody in depth. And, not that we can really get in depth in a situation like this, but I was listening to you a few minutes ago, and I'm picturing you, the mother of 4 kids, and picturing you before you had the 4 kids, and your dreams and what you wanted to do, and you were on your way. You were pursuing what you felt like, this is what I do. This is my thing. This is what I love. But I also know how beautiful and dedicated a mother you are, because we've had a lot of conversations about it, and I've witnessed And you have your own particular set of circumstances, which are very different than mine or other people's. Everybody has their own, right? Every once in a while, I think to myself, I think about the way I feel about my sons and the way I feel about being the best father I can be. And I've always felt that. But for me, there's always been a little battle in that, and I'm going to just say this as harsh as it might sound. And this is something I've talked to my sons about. I don't feel that I was put here to be a dad. I was put here, I believe, if you believe in that stuff, and I'm not even sure how much I believe in that, but if there is a purpose, it seems to me that clearly that my purpose was to create music.
Right.
Was to create something beautiful from nothing and to do it over and over again and to experience it in a way that filled me with so much joy and still does. No matter how many, I've written, I don't know, 2,000 songs maybe at this point. I just wrote a new song and I got chills and I felt so proud and I felt that rush, that dopamine rush that is unlike any other I have. But then I think about the role I play, even now, to 3 men in their 30s as their father. And it's a little bit of I ponder it sometimes and I think, is it okay that I have had, that I've battled it and then I've failed at one and failed at the other and failed this one? And because I don't really think you can spread yourself that thin without failing regularly.
Right.
At one.
Well, I mean, that's the old adage, like, can you have it all?
Yeah.
I mean, I think having it all is realizing wherever you are right now, this is all.
Right.
Right?
That's good.
So do I think I was put on this planet to be a mother? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't the kind of kid who dreamed about being a mother. No, I dreamed about Broadway. I dreamed about television. I dreamed about movies. I dreamed about singing. I dreamed about all different kinds of things. And yes, I was on that path. For whatever reason and circumstance, Terry and I met, we started having kids. I do believe I was given these 4 kids for a reason. And I do believe, in the same way I believe that everyone wants to be famous. And when I say that, I don't mean on TV. They want to be known. They want to be seen. They make the best casserole in the group. They throw the best parties, whatever it is. I also believe that everyone is meant to change the world. Mm-hmm. And that could be that they're a peacemaker and win a Nobel Prize. And it could be that the butterfly, shakes its wings and something happens and it's the effect of all these little things that happen to have this large thing happen. So did I believe that I was going to, my change the world was going to be through my artistic endeavors? I did. Will that still happen? Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm not counting that out at all.
Right.
But why? Someone who waited a little later to have kids, had infertility, had 3 kids by in vitro, and then got pregnant naturally. Because apparently, I don't know if you know this, but if you're heterosexual and you have sex, you can get pregnant.
No way.
It's like a thing.
Holy
No one.
Stop the presses.
No one told me that. But it is true. So we had the 4th one, au naturel. And, why did all of that happen? And
does Terry take total credit for that too?
No, it was a dry spell. We argue about that like a lot. But it looks like us, so he looks like us, I should say. Don't say it. He looks like us.
Yeah.
So he's ours. Anyway, he says. So I do believe that there is a reason, and I do believe that they need me.
Yeah.
These particular kids need this particular parent.
Yeah.
And
that's beautiful, actually.
And I'm telling you, they're not perfect. And we've talked about our kids.
Yeah.
They're not perfect. Some are better than others, but they're not perfect. But they're each interesting. And I think in their own way, they are going to make differences in their communities that will change the world. And maybe some of them bigger. My daughter, Katerina, is a filmmaker. She may do it on more of a global aspect. My daughter, Max, is, you know, a little more of an introvert, but she's in love with cats, and she's so in love with cats that she's abroad this semester. She's gets up at 1 a.m. to go and meet with prospective owners to place cats that are like blind and have 3 legs, all this thing, because she's got that in her, and that changes lives.
It really does.
So I feel so good about that. Was I put on this earth to be a mother? I don't know. But that is where I'm at, and I will do the best job that I can do. Have I lost pieces of myself? Yes. I mean, but that's like an age-old thing, especially for women who raise their kids, because it's usually women. I hope that doesn't sound misogynistic, but I think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you do sort of make this deal to put yourself on hold. And like I was telling you earlier, I was, you know, in Newport Beach with no way
That's
to
what
be
prompted
creative.
the question, because I can picture you in that situation. And in a way, there were times when my kids were little where I made some decisions that were absolutely detrimental to my career. In terms of like, I won't be on the road for longer than 2 weeks.
Right.
They were detrimental to my career. They were detrimental to my pocketbook, probably. There were just sort of like lines that would not be crossed.
Does it matter now?
No, I'm glad I did all of it.
Right.
But at the time, I still wasn't. I wasn't sure. I was fearful of being bad at all of it.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
What Terry said to me back then when I was like, you know, young mom, all these kids, he was like, if I could show you a crystal ball and you could see into the future and it was great and it was all going to be okay, wouldn't you relax now? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
And I do think part of that anxiety gives you that drive to keep moving forward. But I will tell you, you know, right now, so I have 2 kids in college. Third one is graduating in a couple of months. And then I only have 1 left at home. And I am definitely having a little bit of a renaissance. You know, we moved back to LA. I started taking classes at the Groundlings. I did this little musical thing that I was telling you about. That really, it was not a big deal, but man, did it feed my soul.
Yeah.
I see myself as on the trajectory to being Heather Page Kent again.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be a name, but it's definitely in spirit.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that it's really my audience that still watches television, which is a great advantage. And, you know, I'm sort of excited.
Are all
for
your
what's to
kids
come.
cheerleaders of that?
Yeah, they are. They want me to be happy. They love when I shine.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who, you know, shows them old TV shows I did or anything like that.
Right.
But every once in a while, one of them will come across something and be like, Mom, I didn't know you did that. I was like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah. Well, so you have another 3.5 years with Ace at home.
Yes.
Right?
Well, I look at it as when they drive, right? So he's 14.
Right.
So I got 2.
Right.
As soon as he's driving, you know.
But I mean,
gone.
before you're really like, technically speaking, because like I said, you and we've talked about this, like even I
They're
feel
never gone.
They're never gone.
Never gone.
It's not that they're never gone necessarily, but they're never not a focus of my attention and my, not like they're little kids.
Right.
It's not that at all.
It's different.
And I think that, I mean, you'll experience this more and more as the kids get older. But I think you have I definitely sense that you have a bit of it the same way that I do, which is there's this balance between when I'm home, when I'm off the road, at least once a month we have guys' night where it's me and my 3 sons and the 4 of us go usually to the same place.
Yeah.
And we drink and we have dinner and we talk about everything.
That's
Talk
great.
about life like I would talk to my friends.
Yeah.
And there's really very rarely a dad moment in those nights.
I love that.
We're just pals. We're just hanging out and laughing and saying whatever we want to say. And I'm their pal. And then it could literally be, there have been even times when we've said goodnight to each other and one of them says, hey, can you hang back for a second? And he's got a problem. He needs to talk to, I need to be dad.
Yeah.
I need to kick into dad mode.
Right.
And I get that. My dad left me when I was 33. I mean, badly, like died when I was 33. And I was very independent from the time I was 18. And he was my best friend. But every once in a while, I needed dad.
Yeah.
Even in my late 20s and early 30s. And I probably would have continued to every once in a while need my dad to just be dad.
Yeah.
So I get that you guys are kind of in the beginning of that balance.
Right, because the twins, our oldest, are 21.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, I love it.
It's really fun.
Oh, it's so cool. But it's funny, because when you're talking about we're pals, when my kids were growing up, when they were young or whatever, I mean, I had girlfriends that would say, oh, she's my daughter's my best friend, and we're friends, like cool mom stuff.
Yeah.
I never really understood that.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be their friend. I wanted to be their mom who they were able to talk to and communicate. And there are obviously friend qualities to those relationships, but being a parent to them is the most important.
I completely agree. And in my opinion, the desire, or in some cases, like maybe your friend, this need to be friends with your little kids.
Yeah.
Is shucking your responsibility a little bit as a parent.
It's just I feel like it sets it up, and I'm not trying to be judgy, whatever works for you.
Oh, we're being totally judgy.
Okay, we'll be judgy. I think it's weird. No,
Yeah.
No, I just think it sets you up for problems.
Yeah.
Because, and when I say I'm not their friend, I am their friend. My kids tell me everything. And when I say everything, like too much sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't need to know every little detail, but I love that they feel comfortable.
That's beautiful.
I didn't have that.
Yeah.
My sister and I
totally did.
Yeah, I didn't have that. Yeah, and you're so lucky. I didn't have that. My parents were great, but they were not. They weren't made like that.
Right.
I was.
Right.
So my kids, they've always told me everything, and we have that kind of relationship. But there's always been that understanding that I am mom.
Yeah, that's really important because they want you to be.
Yeah, or else
they're counting on you to be.
But I've seen it with contemporaries of mine who the kids are, like the FU attitude.
Yeah.
Now listen, they all get, 11, 12, 13 years old, hormones are kicking in. They all get a little, but when they come back, they're great.
Yeah.
But if you have teens that are 14, 15, and 16, and 17, and they're still in that mode, something's set up wrong.
Yeah, I agree. My point was that instead of pursuing being friends with them, when they're young, have fun with them, but maintain a consistent role as their parent. And what I've seen, at least in my case, is that I maintained that. I was pretty strict, actually. I was the more of the disciplinarian when they were growing up. And then as they became adults, they pursued a friendship with me. It wasn't me going, can we be friends now? Right. It was like I did a lot of the, not the work, but
because they respect you.
Yes, but I maintained a consistency with them that then beautifully evolved into never departing from that, but just adding that other element.
Yeah,
where
I love that.
They can give me shit now, but they do it so lovingly. Yeah. And sometimes one of the most beautiful things in the world is to go to one of your kids and go, can I talk to you about something? I need a different perspective, because I respect my sons as men, as people. So it's every once in a while I'll go, I'm struggling with something. Can we talk about it? And they're really great advice givers.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So it's very reciprocal.
Yeah.
And, what are you working on about yourself these days?
Well, many things, always. I mean, for me, physically, I've become this Pilates queen, which I just love. But for me...
We did Pilates today.
What?
Daisy and I did Pilates today.
Did?
Together.
I love Pilates.
Yeah, we're obsessed with it.
I'm obsessed. I go every day.
It's actually the best workout I've ever had.
Best workout. And it's completely changed my body. But working out has changed for me, because it used to be, I want to look good in a swimsuit, or I want to, fit in the clothes, or whatever it is. Right. I am so focused on longevity. Yeah. And all I want to do is be strong. I want to be strong. I saw this picture of Goldie Hawn. Yeah. And she's like she's in her 70s, I think. And she had a backpack on with her granddaughter. And I was like, I want that.
Yep.
That's what I want. If I'm so lucky enough to, have grandchildren, I want to be able to pick them up. I want to be around for a long time to irritate my children.
Yeah.
I really just want to be.
But it's not, it's longevity, yes, but it's a particular kind of longevity.
Yes.
I don't want to be 95 and like needing somebody to feed me.
No, exactly. I want to be strong. I want to be fit. I want to be happy. I also, it's always on my list to be less reactive. And so when you're 20s, like, and then it starts to come down.
Do you have a short fuse?
No, not really.
Yeah.
No. But usually I'm pretty like.
What pisses you off? Give me the top 3 things that irritate you or piss you off.
I cannot stand when people lie about me. It infuriates me. And even if it's something stupid, the gaslighting of someone lying about you, because especially in today's day and age, someone tells a lie about you, there's a faction of people it's like the cheating rumors that they always say, Terry's cheating on me. First of all, I'm like, I am so cute. Why is no one saying that I am cheating on him? Hello? Remember once I said this to you because we were together somewhere and the rumors were out there. I'm like, please take a picture with me. Yeah. Let's just pretend to be walking on the beach. But, that's a more serious one. But even still, like, no, it's not true. And it came up. I was very nonplussed about it. But when it keeps coming up, and someone is like trying to make a thing about it, that infuriates me. I cannot stand when people lie, because then there's people that believe that it's true. I hate that.
Even though you know that there are people who are never going to come in contact with, and they're going to think whatever they're going to think anyway.
I guess.
By the way, this is me. By the way, I'm not subscribing to this. I'm just being devil's advocate.
No, of course. It's so stupid, and I shouldn't care. But I do. I mean, I'd like to be one of those like zero given. Yeah. I do. I give some.
Yeah.
I do. I wish I didn't.
Have you always been that way?
Yeah.
Has it magnified since you became a celebrity? Well, of course it has, because...
it's so funny. When I was first like on television and doing all the things, we didn't have social media, right? So people would come up to you and be like, oh, I love your show, or, I love your character, whatever they would say. And you would like get a blurb in TV Guide or in People magazine. It was very exciting. You'd look, this reality thing, and with social, it's just it's a whole different ball game. I mean, it's crazy because people are in your home. They think you're friends.
Yeah. Well, they think that they understand your life.
Yeah.
They think that they really have a window into what really is happening.
Right. So it's hard to put it away. Now, when I first started on Housewives and Instagram became a thing, I did what everyone does.
Yeah.
I would look at 1,000 wonderful comments and focus on the 3 mean ones. And then it was like, nope, can't do that anymore. Just gonna scroll. And now I don't. I don't take any of that to heart.
I heard somebody say recently, true enlightenment is posting a post on Instagram and not reading the comments. I was like, wow.
That's good.
That's pretty good.
What I like though is I enjoy social media, but I like looking at certain things, which I'll tell you. But on my social media, I'll read the comments sometimes. Yeah. But what I do like is when people fight with each other in the comments. That to me is
that's entertaining,
so
right?
Funny.
Yeah.
So funny. And then my mother will put comments on there as if, like if I post a picture of Kat's birthday, she'll write a note to Kat on my Instagram. Like amongst like many comments, I'm like, she can't. Okay, never mind.
Well, it's not just your mother. I posted a happy birthday to Rod Stewart last week. He turned 80.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to go, happy birthday, Rod. Rod is awesome.
Right.
But then there were tons of comments who were talking to Rod.
Like as if he's going to read your comments.
Literally, it's the difference between happy birthday to Rod. He's such a bad... He's timeless, blah, blah, blah. And then the next time would be, happy birthday, Rod. I saw you in 1984 and you did, and I'm like, and there's comment after comment where they're talking to Rod on my, and I want to go.
Well, you know what's good?
I would love to be able to like, if there were a little like window you could lift up and see really who that person is and go, oh, okay.
Got it.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, but they're helping your engagement, so it's
true.
Fine.
True, but it's sort of like, wow, what
does your For You page show you? Like, what do you look at? Like, for example, for me, I get shown right now.
Yeah.
I see people making cakes.
Okay.
I like watching people make cakes. I see, people wrapping gifts.
Oh, I was going to say like.
No, wrapping gifts.
Wrapping gifts.
Oh, beautifully. Wrapping gifts beautifully.
Because you obviously engaged with enough of that.
I must.
Yeah.
And I see parties, like tableaus, like table settings and whatnot.
I'm seeing a lot of keto recipes.
Are you doing keto?
Pretty much. Well, I stopped doing, I cut out
sugar
a year and a half ago. We talked about this. Hardly any like complex carbs. Like it's like my diet is cleaner than it's ever been. But I found that I'd rather make stuff at home myself that are snacks.
Yeah.
I'm not a cook. Daisy's an amazing cook.
Yeah.
And she adheres to our restrictions and still is like, she made something last night. She just threw something together. I forget what it was. It was in a salad with, like, when you hear tofu, you're like, oh, and then you eat what Daisy made. And it's like you're having like chicken fingers or something. And it's all really super healthy. And, but what I'm good at, and my sons actually, and their significant others are always like, hey, will you make that, dark chocolate date bark.
That thing that you like.
Yeah, I make these things with like chocolate and dates and peanut butter and like all the stuff that I love. So I'm flooded with those.
Okay.
And a lot of, because I'm about to do, probably by the time this airs, it'll be announced, but I'm doing a TV show in another country where I have to have a lot, for the first time, I have to really be worried about wardrobe. I have to have like 20 different looks over the season. So my feed is now flooded with men's style, modern men.
Do you have a look for how you're going to be on the
show
yet?
I do. And this is going to shock you.
Okay.
But the person who picked the look is Daisy Fuentes.
Shocking. You're not going with a classic Richard Marx white shirt blazer kind of vibe?
Yes. Well, she said to me, I want you to be the rock and roll James Bond.
Yeah, love it.
So it's not going to be tux.
I have to say, and I could say this to you because I'm your friend.
Yeah.
But like, I think the most handsome I've ever seen you on stage was in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And that was what I was
like
going
that
for.
Vibe. That is so
that's
you.
What that's the vibe.
Packy.
That's the vibe.
Love it.
That's the vibe.
Perfect.
So, and what else? Maybe, and probably, you know what else is flooding my feed right now? Because I've clicked on a few of them. I don't know if you've seen these or not, or if you have any interest. Daisy is bored out of her mind when I try to show her these things. There are a series of people who have accounts where they get access to the master tapes of famous songs, famous records that we love. So for instance, yesterday, this guy posted, and it's like a long video in a studio.
Yeah.
It was an INXS song called New Sensation. Remember that song?
Yeah, of course.
Live, baby, live. My favorite INXS song, or maybe. There's a lot of them I love. And they take you through the drum track and how the drum track was created and like isolate the drums. And
That's
then you hear the bass coming in and how they got and then they used this EQ on the bass. It's so nerdy. It's so nerdy, but it's so, it's weird because that's what I have done my whole life. I've created my versions of those and produced so many other artists. So I know I am the man behind the curtain.
Right.
It's not that it's fascinating to me because I'm not aware of it. So it's extra weird for me that I want to dive into that.
I think it's the same thing as people who want to look into other people's homes. You want to see what's going on in someone else's studio?
No, yes and no. It's just that I think that here's the only reason I'm going to question that comparison. This is such a specialty thing. And I know how it's done. But I'm fascinated by how other people do it.
Right.
So I guess a little bit of that, but it's like, that's what's on my feed.
What does Daisy look at?
Oh my God, that's a good question. She would argue with me right now, but I feel she's on social media she scrolls way more than I do.
Okay.
I get like, of the two of us, here's a question, and I'll answer after you. between you and Terry, who more often
Terry.
during the day says, look at this,
Oh.
and it's social media? Oh, watch this, or send you.
Okay. Well, we do a thing where we send each other all the memes
Yeah,
all day.
of course.
So we'll send them to each other. But he'll
Who
show.
reads, who has the longer list of unseen memes?
No, we both look at them.
Okay.
We do. And we're really into those really dumb ones where it's
Yeah.
like, he cracks up when I send him like, there's this one with a penguin. And it's like me on my way to tell my husband that my feet hurt and I'm hungry and he upset me 3 days ago. It's like a long list of things.
Yeah.
And I send that to him all the time.
Yeah.
And so if he ever upsets me, I go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we send each other those things. But he is on his phone scrolling a million times more than me. He gets all of his news, all of his everything.
Even during surgery, he's scrolling.
Even during surgery.
He's scrolling TikTok.
He's got the eyes.
I'm not saying you shouldn't go to him
No,
for all
no.
your needs.
Yeah, don't. No.
But just know that he might be doing a serious operation where he's like, oh my God, look at this. You guys see this?
No, but I think it's actually because of that. I think that what he does is so focused
Yeah.
and so intense
Yeah.
that when he gets out, it's like cat videos.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
He watches cat videos.
He loves cats.
He loves cats. So he watches cat videos. He reads the news. He's like very into.
Is it cat that's into cats?
No, Max.
Oh, Max.
Max is into cats. And so he's really into finance but he knows everything about it. It's funny. He's a lot like my dad in that respect. Like my dad wasn't an avid sports watcher, but he knew the scores to every game. He knew who the players were. He knew what was going on.
He watched enough. He paid attention.
Yeah, that's Terry. He knows a little bit about absolutely everything.
Great. I don't know a lot about a lot of things.
He does.
I know a little about a lot of things.
But it's kind of
And
me
a lot
too.
about a few things.
Yeah, like I'm an expert at nothing, but I could probably speak on a lot of different
You don't think
subjects.
there's not one topic that you think you're an expert on?
I'm an
Or
expert on
borderline-
being a parent to my children.
Yes. But there's something else. There's got to be something else.
I don't know.
I'll give you one.
Okay.
For me.
Okay.
And this is, by the way, very useful. I'm an expert on Elvis Presley.
Oh, okay.
So anytime you're in a situation and there's any kind of conversation about, or especially if there's an argument or if there's a bet going down,
Okay.
I am your phone call. I am your phone a friend.
Okay. Noted.
If there's $1 million question and it has anything to do with Elvis Presley, I am your phone a
I
friend.
will call you. I'm an expert at packing,
Oh, can we talk about that at dinner tonight?
and I'm an expert at planning.
Do you roll or do you lay
No.
flat?
It depends on what the item is.
Okay. Do you use packing cubes?
No. I use tissue paper.
Okay. We have to wrap this up because I have to go to dinner with you and talk about this.
Okay, but I'm an expert at packing. I'm an expert planner. I'm really good at
That I know.
I'm really good at parties.
But you know what you are?
What?
From having traveled with you?
Yes.
You're an expert planner, but you're not an obnoxious planner.
No.
And you know there's a difference.
Yes. I feel very strongly about having a
structure.
great structure.
A structure.
But I'm also willing to go, yep, don't want to go
Yeah.
there. Hey, we heard about a better place. Oh, you guys don't feel like going? We'll meet up with you later. I'm super chill.
Yep. Oh, Richard he has to leave because it's too loud. Remember that?
Yeah, feeling great.
I felt
Who
so
cares?
bad.
We're family.
Yeah, we're family. And you were like, oh, because it was really awesome.
We stayed.
I know.
You stayed because Daisy was having fun.
Yes. Thank you. Will you please remind her of that tonight
will.
at dinner? You know, one of the things that I really love and admire about you as a public person,
Well,
speaking of, we were talking about Instagram scrolling. I'll scroll and I'll see such an even combination of you looking like this and dolled up and glammed out and gorgeous, and then no makeup and your hair is like, and you're like, you're in sweats and like, and I can tell you're like, yeah, I'm just doing an interview with like in the studio, like, and to not have to be completely, I actually really love that.
yeah, thank you. Weirdly, I don't care that much. I don't use filters. There are some filters on some of my pictures because like sometimes someone else will take the picture or, like my hairdresser will take it and he'll zhuzh it up and I'll be like, yeah,
Right.
looks good, fine.
Like you're not being filtered on this, but I am.
Excellent. I see how we're playing
Yeah.
now. No, but I think my joke is I don't want people to meet me out in the wild and go, oh, that's what she really looks like. I see what's going on there.
You don't want to disappoint them.
I don't want to scare people. Let it be better. But it's funny, has anyone said to you things like, you look so much better in person?
No.
People say that to me and to a lot of us that are on reality. Like,
It is crazy what people will tell
They
you,
don't
though.
mean that. What they mean is you look great. You
I know,
can't
but
take it personally.
Come on, can we talk about this for a second? The things that people say to you to your face sometimes.
It's crazy.
Even they don't mean it to be.
I know.
But sometimes I'll be like, wow.
Yeah.
Like it would never enter my mind to say that out loud to somebody I've never met before. It's
Yeah.
like bizarre.
Crazy.
And how crazy, how weird crazy has your fan situation been? Like, what's the weirdest fan situation? Do you have people, men or women, but I'm thinking primarily men, who comment or message you or in a really super creepy way?
I really don't have that. I've always had I hate to even use the word fan. It feels like so foreign
But
to
you do,
me.
you have fans.
But back when I was doing scripted television, there were a couple of people, and in those days they would write letters.
Right,
There
that's where I'm
was
going.
this one person who kept writing me letters and ended every single sentence with my name. So it was like, hi, Heather Page Kent. How are you, Heather Page Kent? I really love you, Heather Page Kent. I saw the episode last night, Heather Page Kent. And it was just like pages.
Yeah,
And it was constant.
like Unabomber.
Yes, crazy stuff. But other than that,
No weird, no like, oh, this is a problem.
no, not really. I've had some really lovely super fan kind of things. And I've sent them stuff and, not everyone's going to like you. And that's just the way it is. So if
Me?
not you. I mean,
I thought everybody liked me.
Yeah, you, yes. One. And the belts are on.
You mean you as a whole? You mean everybody
Not everyone's
but
going to
me.
like you, not you.
Oh my God, I sound like Terry now.
Yeah, well, you're the same person.
Yeah.
That's why I knew you'd get along immediately when I met you all those years ago. And so, I don't even know where I'm going with this now, but not everyone's going to like you. And so it's hard, that's okay.
Yeah.
So when you're on a scripted show, they have opinions about your character.
They think is you.
And so sometimes hard to separate yourselves
Yeah.
from the character. Luckily for me, any scripted show I've ever done have been really fun, funny, pretty much likable characters. Now on reality TV, sometimes, you can film someone for a year and make two different movies of them.
Yeah.
You could show all their great moments and make them a hero and show all their moments and make them, a villain. And so we're all a little bit of everything, right? So
Yeah.
we trip, we say stupid things, we make
Yeah.
a mistake, all those things. So when you're on a reality show, depending on, the 20 minutes they're showing out of those 30 hours that
Yeah.
we're filming, how you're shown that season, people have their opinions of you. And you have to remind yourself that that is just not a complete picture.
Well, my complete picture of you and Terry, but you, because you're my guest, is you're just one of my favorite people.
Thank
I
you.
love that we get to do this together. And I do this thing where I give my guest at the end of every episode a piece of vinyl. I don't even know if you guys even have a record player,
We do.
or if at some point you do. So I choose very carefully, and they always come from my own personal record collection, which I've
Wow.
had for not 61 years, but let's call it 55 years since I started getting records. And I saw this today. I was like, I think this is Heather. It's Funny Girl. It's the original cast recording
Oh my gosh.
featuring Barbra Streisand.
I love that.
This is the original 1968, maybe? Look, it's even got, remember these?
Oh yeah.
So that's my gift to you. You
that
don't
is
have to
I love it. Thank you so much. I love this show.
I know you
Love
do.
the movie. I love the show. I saw Leah Michele play the role a year ago.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for having
Thank
me.
you for
I love
having
you. This is
having the courage to come and follow Terry's.
Yeah, I'm never worried to
episode.
follow him. We're good.
Yeah. Awesome.